What's good, you lot, man? Hope everyone's chilling. Listen, man, we finally got to see Alonso ball. I've been telling you lot, don't judge us until you see a proper midfield. Don't judge us till you see a proper midfield, man. I've been telling everybody, and you can see it in my other review videos and just on X in general. Don't judge us yet, man. This is the same shit that used to happen under Tuchel. When you've got these coaches that really try to dominate possession and everything's about the midfield, you can't judge until you see the real high IQ technical players together. And this is the first time that we really had that kind of partnership. And obviously, shout out to, I think it's Nico Gizzuli. Obviously, he put in a decent shift against Juve, but obviously there's levels to this. There's levels to this. And what you saw from Lavia and Caicedo today, that was the level. That was the minimum level that we need for the rest of the season in that double pivot if you want to see Alonso football. And we obviously got much closer to it as well. And obviously, when I talk about Tuchel rules, like I said, it's the easiest example. Back in the day, you don't remember under Tuchel, we had Jorginho, we had Kante, we had Kovacic. When it comes to those three, every game that we played, you needed a combination of two of those. It had to be two of those from the three in that double pivot. If there was ever an outsider, so Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, Sounderguez, or whoever, just expect a completely different performance. Because for what we're trying to achieve, there's a certain IQ level experience that you got to have, man. And certain decisions you got to make. You got to be of the upper echelon of midfielder to pull off what we're trying to do. It's high level shit. And you definitely saw us get much closer to that today. So that was just straight off the bat. I just obviously wanted to say that. But just as far as the performance, convincing, good. I think obviously in the first 30 minutes, I wasn't overly excited. I was like, okay, this is decent. It's solid. We were all kind of surprised. Obviously, we were kind of expecting the 4-2-3-1 we've seen in pre-season. But instead, obviously, the game started and we all saw that Neto was on the other side. And a lot of people immediately started going towards a back three. But this is actually, if you watch some of my past videos of what I've been sharing on X or just in general, this is actually the formation finally that I'm expecting us to use for the majority of the season. This is what I've been talking about. A lot of people keep saying it was a back three, but I actually think it was a back four. We used the winger at the end of the day. We had Neto at right wing. We had Kedro at right wing. Obviously, you could say we used them at right wing back. I don't think it really makes a difference, which is why the back three, back four conversation is a bit of a weird one anyway. But in many ways, it was a 4-2-3-1. You had Neto or Kenda as your right winger. You had Palmer as the 10. You had João Pedro as the inside left winger. And then you had Welbeck and then obviously Jackson eventually in the second half up front. You then have Palestra attacking left back. And I've been someone that's been wanting to see that. So you have an attacking left back, obviously bum up from that side. And that's kind of your front five. And then obviously everything else is pretty similar. You get your RB, RCB. So we have the right back tuck it in. That was Josh, his perfect role. And he was great today. We'll talk about him in a bit. Then obviously you got your RCB, LCB, and they kind of round off the back three. You got your main double pivot. And that for me is what suits Chelsea. It's what fits Chelsea. When Morgan Rogers is here, obviously he's going to be the one that plays in that left 10 role. João Pedro will go up front. Then obviously Esteval, someone that could definitely play right wing. So I think this is what you want to see from Chelsea. Now, this is the big difference that obviously confused a lot of people and something that I've mentioned and is going to be key to watch. If you think about the first few games that Chelsea have had, we've kind of defended in a 4-4-2 out possession. I think it was most noticeable against Tottenham. You could see we had like Palmer and João Pedro as the front two, and it was a 4-4-2 out possession. Today, we defended with a 5-2-3. And more closely, we kind of used the Bayern Leverkusen dynamics exactly how we did it before. And this is where the back three talk is coming from. But in truth, it's just us attacking and playing with a back four, but defending in a 5-2-3. To me, because at the end of the day, we're still using a winger. And other clubs have done this. I think Maresca's even done this before. Arteta's definitely done this, where he's got Saka to track all the way back. It's a thing that coaches do, and I think that was more actually what we did. But maybe because it's the Bayern Leverkusen dynamics and the way it comes across and it looks, I do get that reference. But for me, back three, back four doesn't really matter anyway. But what was a key detail that I would definitely say? Something I've mentioned in another video. This could be a little thing to watch out for when it comes to who starts at right wing. Because I still think Esteval is going to get right wing minutes. Obviously, Esteval, I think he came on in Palmer's place today. But I can still see Esteval getting right wing minutes. But that's only, obviously, if you defend with a 4-4-2 out of possession like we did against Tottenham and all these other teams. I think if we do that out of possession, then it makes sense. You can have Esteval defending kind of like your right mid in the 4-4-2 defensively when you go into that block. Whenever we want to do a 5-2-3, and I think this will mostly probably be in the big games or maybe against your top 8-9 teams, just when you want to be a bit more solid. Because you could tell today, defensively, we look much more solid in the 5-2-3. I think whenever we want to do that, that's when maybe Kenda is going to be more of a better option. Because Kenda, we know in Sporting Lisbon, he's already played as a right wing back before. He's kind of like a right wing back hybrid. He is like the perfect player, really and truly, for the role. You can't ask him much better. He's great going forward, has the quality of a right winger, but he's willing to track back and do those hard yards as well. So for me, he would be an amazing option to use. And obviously, I know Neto started today, but anyone that knows me, listen, I've defended Neto when he first came to Chelsea, but he's just not done enough. For me, get him over to City, do what he's got to do. When Kende came on, for me, he showed the difference. Like, I need high-level IQ. Like, for Alonso's football, intelligence, IQ is the most important thing. And Neto, I'm just not trying to watch another year of that when we've got talents like Kenda and Estevao at right wing, in my opinion. To me, I'm just not trying to do that. But that's obviously just talking about the shape. But yeah, man, this is what I'm looking forward to. This is what I think is going to be the base shape for Chelsea going forward. And it's very exciting that obviously we looked good, that we looked as probably the best you've seen so far in pre-season. That's what you want. That's the encouragement you need. And bear in mind, like I said, Reece James wasn't here. Cole wasn't here. Lacroix wasn't here. Rodgers wasn't here. Enzo, or if not Enzo, maybe someone like Wharton or whoever we bring in wasn't here. We were missing key players and still looked very, very dangerous and very, very good and very strong. But when you look at our back line, that's pretty much our backup back line. You've got Fofana, obviously, was playing CCB and he was impressive. I'll talk about him soon in a bit. Josh, for me, was incredible. I've spoken about Josh's role before. This is where you want Josh playing. Josh, as an RB, RCB, tucked in like he was today, or right centre-back in a back three, kind of the same shit with what we just spoke about. That's what you want from Josh, because he doesn't have to worry about the box defending as much. He doesn't have to be trying to lead the defence or worry about every single mistake he makes. He can play a bit more free. He can bomb forward. He can be aggressive when it comes to pressing. And obviously 1v1 like you saw against Liao. Liao's one of the best 1v1 wingers in the world. He's a threat. You could even see Liao started the game with confidence, looking like he wants to prove to everybody. I'm sure he's looking for buyers. He looked like he was going to try and flex and ball out today. Achimpong said, no chance. We're giving you no change. And Achimpong was on his neck. Matched him step for step. Pace, low down. He was perfect, man. And that's what you want for Josh. That is the reason why everyone's so excited about him. Because how many defenders in world football at Josh's size are that nimble, able to handle 1v1s as if he's a right back? This is just a perfect role for him. And this is the reason why, again, I feel like this shape is perfect for Chelsea and the players that we have. And then you obviously know who else could be amazing with this role. Reece James. Reece James slots in there perfectly. Right back, but obviously RCB tucked in. Reece James will do that all day, so that's not a problem. I think Fofana, like I was saying, was solid. Fofana, obviously, at CCB, we know that's not really his role, but he was really good. He looked like the Fofana that we saw under Maresca. And this is the reason why I kept telling people, chill out when it comes to being harsh on Fofana. A lot of us don't remember, but think about the games against Arsenal, Barcelona, I think even Everton. Just a couple games. I remember there was a point we kept like 5 out of 6 clean sheets under Maresca. You think about when Fofana was fit in Maresca's first season, in 24-25, when I think we were like second in the league and people were saying, are Chelsea going to go for the league? That was Cole and Fofana again. When Fofana's been under the right coaches and confident, he's up there with the best. He showed it today and he was very solid. I think we didn't concede one big chance today. I think we literally gave them virtually nothing. And a lot of that was down to Fofana. He gave them no change. And it's not like they've got no decent attackers. They got Gonzalo Ramos, who was just at PSG. They got Rafael Leao. We just gave them no change and we gave them no chance. So that was mad good to see. And then Hato was solid and decent. But like I said, Cole's the one that you expect to be really playing LCB if we start. So you'd expect Cole, Lacroix, James. And this is pretty much our backup defense. And for us to be this solid against decent opposition, that's obviously very encouraging. Now, when it comes to obviously the attack, I think Welbeck was all right. I think Welbeck was decent. I don't think Welbeck is somebody for me. And this is why I like preseason. Welbeck for me is not someone that you want ever to be a starter for us. I think the perfect role for Welbeck and why we brought him in is to come on when we're chasing a goal. To come on and bring on something different. You think about those games at Stamford Bridge last season where Maresca or Rosino would be like, all right, let's switch up and bring on Delap. Let's bring on someone that can bring some presence in the box, get a late goal, be a good finisher. That's what Welbeck's for. When we're chasing a goal, bring on Welbeck and do whatever, and then you can put some crosses in, expect Welbeck to obviously get a goal. That's what he was obviously known for at Brighton as well. When it comes to actually being a star and starting games, I know it's pre-season, so the main reason Alonso's only doing this is because Rodgers isn't here yet, because it would have been Rodgers and João Pedro, but I just think he's not really someone, if João Pedro got injured, I wouldn't really want to see Welbeck leading the line for a considerable amount of time. So if I'm being honest, we don't know what's going to happen. It's probably unlikely based on rumours, but let's talk about Jackson, bro. Jackson, he would be the perfect backup, and that's always been the case. For me, Jackson is in that weird middle ground, and it's kind of similar to Andre Santos, where they're not necessarily good enough to be nailed down starters, considering the options that we have, but they're too good to just be a deputy or a backup. So I understand if someone like Jackson wants to go to a Villa to be a starter, because like you said, they're CL rivals or whatever. So I understand that. But if Jackson could somehow decide to stay, he would be the perfect deputy. If you have João Pedro, Jackson and Welbeck, that is super, super, super strong. And that's what you'd want. I feel like if João Pedro got an injury, Jackson fills in. I think if, obviously, you want to bring on someone for a last 10 minutes, I think Welbeck would be more useful than bringing on Jackson, in truth. And I just think there would be some games where it keeps Rodgers on his toes. It keeps João Pedro on his toes. It just gives us options to kind of do what you saw today, which was a dynamic that I've been excited to see as well. Jackson up top, and then you got guys like João Pedro, Palmer, Esteval, just guys who can score playing off of him. I think Jackson has always been a kind of Firmino number 9 to me. He's not the guy that should have ever been with the pressure to go out and get goals and score non-stop. He's the kind of guy that, listen, if you got other bona fide scorers around him, they can kind of cover for that deficiency where he's not the best as far as finishing, etc. Because even today, he made a great chance for himself, couldn't get the finish off, it hit the post, and that was typical Jackson. And obviously, he just had some great spins, some great this and that. It was great to watch. But like I said, if Jackson could stay, bro, that would be incredible. But we'll see what happens with that one. I don't know if Jackson would put up with that. I feel like he's the type of character that it's going to want to start somewhere. And I don't blame him. He's good enough to do it. Same way I don't blame Andre Santos. Again, another guy that's more than good enough to create a real career for himself somewhere else at a top club. So can't blame them when it comes to that. But that was the level. And obviously, we saw that kind of two-man step. A lot of people talking about João Pedro, Jackson. And it was fun. It was definitely good to see. But I'm telling you right now, our real two-man step is going to be Rodgers and João Pedro. And that's two killers who, you know, when they get in front of goal, they ain't missing. Both got lethal shooting, right foot, left foot. Both of them two-man step. People are going to realise why Rodgers had such a good relationship with Duran and Watkins at Aston Villa. He's almost like having a second striker. He's such a unique player because he can do 10 things. He can almost do 8 things, dropping deep, trying to spin carry. He can go out wide and do left winger type things. And he can also do second striker things, almost like a two-man striker. So for me, Rodgers is going to be exciting with that. We got a glimpse of what that dynamic might look like. Obviously, João Pedro scored 2 goals. Shout out to him. And João Pedro, listen, he's just a killer that can do whatever he wants at this point. Put him anywhere in that front attacking line, and João Pedro's going to bag. But we all know João Pedro's a 9 at this point. That's where he's going to do most of his work. So Rodgers and João Pedro, that's definitely something to be excited about. But we got a glimpse. We definitely got a glimpse. Now, when it comes to the left-back situation, Palestra, this kid is something special. And I've been saying it. A lot of people have been trying to criticize Palestra, worry about all the things that he's not good at, etc. I've been saying Palestra is exciting. Palestra's exciting. Like, don't focus on the negatives. Think about the positives. Where do you even find a guy that's ambipedal, 6'1", has that kind of engine? He never stops. He kept going. He's the type to keep going for a full 90 minutes. Ambipedal, right foot, left foot, can dribble, can come inside, can come outside. Off the ball runs, incredible. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I think there's so much to work with. And the thing that's crazy, he's so raw. He's so raw. There's so much he can improve. I think if he can improve in both boxes, so obviously he had a chance today, Kenda whipped it round to him, didn't really manage to kind of get the shot off the way you want, or sometimes even when he gets in those positions, even though he's there, it feels like it takes him a little bit of time to get out his feet and actually put a decent cross in. Although he did put in some really nice cutbacks, almost in a Garnacho style. You know the way Garnacho would like shift it, then cut it back? Palestra definitely has that bag, and that was good to see. I just think he was a menace. The off-ball runs were insane. A lot of people have been talking about wanting that off-ball runner. Palestra is that. And like I say, the reason I love Palestra is because instead of having to fit in a Garnacho, fit in an Anthony Gordon, with all due respect to him, Brennan Johnson, all these other guys, these runners, like people like to call it, these guys that usually lack technical quality to some level, were able to get that value, but from fullback. So I'm able to play my Palmers, my Estevals, my Rodgers, my João Pedro without that worry and having to sacrifice one of those spots to get this effect. I think it's so smart. Leverkusen, obviously, he did it with Frimpong as well. I just think it's genius, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think I can't imagine us getting a better profile than Palestra for what we need on that side. Palestra's literally just a threat that you have to worry about and think about. And I think it's just going to be a thing where teams are going to have to worry about him. Teams are going to have to think about him. They're going to have to be nervous whenever he's on the pitch. And I think, obviously, when you got passes like Palmer, we'll see what happens with Enzo, whether it be Enzo, Wharton, or whoever we bring in. These are guys that are great at passing and long balls, etc. If you think about the fact we didn't really have an impactful runner, someone that really presents that threat last season. We didn't really have that. I think it will take their game to another level as well, always having that outball, always having someone you can play the ball in behind to. I think that will obviously be exciting. And you got Palestra literally running into the middle of the pitch like a striker. The guy is just a constant threat, so shout out to him. Now, obviously, I will be honest, I think it did suit him. Like I said, we defended in a 5-2-3 today, so it did suit him defensively because obviously he wasn't really, he was a left back, but he had a bit more support. Let's just say it was almost like that back three. You still got Hato really coming out to try and help in that respect because we defended with the back five. I think the reason we've bought Pep Chavaria is for the big games or games you want to just defend flat out with a 4-4-2 out of possession. Because Chavaria is a bit more reliable defensively. He's a bit more switched on. He's a bit more reminiscent of Cucurella just as far as being switched on. Concentration amazing. Making sure he's always aware at the back post, not getting caught out. Palestra, as good as he is going forward, is someone that's going to get caught out eventually here and there. We got to accept that. So, listen, that's the whole point of having profiles. This is the reason why Alonso nailed on. I said I need Chavaria because there will be certain games where Chavaria is a better option just because you want to be a bit more solid defensively, even though Chavaria is still going to give you that up and down engine. But Palestra, he's very special. And I think in coming seasons, like we're just seeing, this is just a start. He's only going to get better and better as he learns to be better in the final third in terms of the final execution, as he learns to defend a bit better and be more aware. I think the guy's going to be a real player, man. And he's just a bag of tricks. So that was definitely exciting. Now, something that was obviously good to talk about, and I saw a lot of people discussing it. Lavia finally finished at 90 minutes. Lavia finally finished at 90 minutes. And shout out to him. Listen, because I feel like I saw an account on X called Has Lavia Finished the 90 Minutes? Yeah, I remember there was one about Mbappe not scoring a free kick that went on for ages. And we shut that down immediately. Shout out to that. And a lot of people have been harsh with Lavia. Get rid of him, sell him. Lavia's 22 years old. Again, history will probably have me on the right side of this. Anyone that knows me, I've been a big defender of Lavia. Just because for me, he's 22 years old. Just keep him as a squad option. Like, you don't give up for me on a talent like Lavia so quickly at 22. This is actually how Chelsea ended up in those situations where you get your De Bruyne stories or you get your Salahs or Lukaku's that we used to have in the past. Someone would have a rough period and was just so harsh as a fan base in those situations. For me, it's always been this. Make sure that we're stocked up in midfield. So I want us to make sure we buy a midfielder this season so we don't rely on him. Lavia should be like your 4th, 5th option, but that's exciting. That's how you build a title-winning team for me. All these unreliable guys that have elite quality, elite potential, make them depth. Make them depth. That's literally the hack for me. You know what I mean? Guys like Fofana, guys like Lavia, if they're your depth, that's how you build a title-winning team. You know what I mean? If Lavia comes in, you're not nervous about quality. You're even thinking, right, he might even be performing better than the starters. That is, for me, how you build an amazing squad. And sometimes having these injury-prone guys is kind of helpful because Lavia's going to accept his role as a backup because he knows he's got those little injury concerns. Same for someone like Wes Fofana and certain other people. For me, I'm not mad at it. And I love that Lavia vindicated and showed that it's only an injury thing. I always said this. To hate on Lavia, your hope is that he's just going to be injured because you already know if Lavia's on the pitch, he's going to prove his quality. It's never been about quality. Lavia is different level when it comes to talent. And you watch Lavia, if you don't get it, you don't get it. Lavia is a natural in midfield. Drop of the shoulder, the pass, the composure, the press resistance. He's brazy. There's a reason Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea were chasing him after one season for Southampton. So when people get onto him sometimes, I'm just like, bro, remember the kid is 22. He's 22 years old. Listen, I'm happy that he finally got over that mental block. I saw Alonso mention that as well, so that was obviously nice. But that was a big deal, man. That was just nice. And obviously for someone that's been back in Lavia, that was nice for me to see. For Fofana, the same thing. A lot of people have been harsh, and I mentioned it before already. Get Fofana out, this, that, this. Listen, man, breathe when it comes to these guys. Like I said, if they are going to be our backups, these are guys that have performed in the past. Let them do their thing, and there should be no nerviness when it comes to that. Now, just on a random thing that bothered me, because we'll move on to this quickly. Sanchez, the goal kicks. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. Sanchez is winding me up, man. I don't know, man. I just feel like this is a lingering issue that's been there for a long time. Maresca at one point tried to bring in Jorgensen for better ball playing. Rosinia, obviously, we know the famous shit that happened at PSG where he took Sanchez out and obviously we lost and all that madness, debacle, whatever you want to call it. Again, I just feel like I'm watching Alonso on the touchline and me too. The guy's just constantly lofting it. And that shouldn't matter. But like I said, when you have a coach that's trying to implement control, that's the basis of his style, it's problematic. And I know Sanchez can be good with the 1v1s, and we know Sanchez positives. Listen, there were moments. Sanchez, while Maresca was in charge, until Rosina came, it might have been a player of the year candidate for us. So I know Sanchez's strengths, but I will be honest, it is bothersome to me. I do wonder if Alonso's going to get towards the end of the window, and depending on how much revenue we've brought in or certain sales, will he look at the goalkeeper position and make a move last minute? Obviously, Mike Penders is there, but I don't know. I just don't trust Penders to come in as the number one straight away. I don't know. I really wish that we got Maignan. I said that before. He was there for like 20 million, 25 million euros. If Alonso was in charge, we would have got that over the line. But we know how these sporting directors are moving before, nitpicking over nonsense, and then we end up spending that on a random Brazilian kid that's 16. Mad annoying. But yeah, man, I don't know. Shout out to Sanchez. I don't want to hate on him too much, but it's something that's been bothering me in all the games. I just feel like there's so many times where I'm like, we need to have control as a team. That's everything we're going to do. We're inviting more transitions. We're losing the ball for no reason. And this is Milan. If you do this against the better teams and you keep lofting it, it becomes an issue. So it's definitely something that I'm just watching out for that's bothering me. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, obviously, before we round off, because today was a nice enjoy. This is the kind of preseason games you want. Vibes, everyone's smiling, bare players performed well. We're finally getting closer to seeing the serious Chelsea that we're going to see this season. Anyone that knows me, I've been saying, even from when we was under Rosina, I don't care who the coach is, I'm expecting Chelsea to do serious stuff this season, because I just feel like there were so many things that happened. But obviously now having Alonso, I'm even more expecting that we're going to do something well. We got one game a week. I ain't here to be scary or shook, man. Let's see what Chelsea can achieve this season. I ain't going to talk too much, but listen, let's see what Chelsea can do. But something that I enjoyed and that was nice to see as well, and this is probably the last thing I'll mention, there was, a lot of people may not know this, but Alonso is quite a versatile manager as far as his approach. Not just tactically, because he's obviously spoken about different shapes and he's happy to use a back three, back four, this approach, that approach. We've seen him sit in against Tottenham. We've seen him do that. But something that I like that not a lot of managers have up their sleeve, Alonso's happy to go direct against certain opponents and go short and try and dominate possession against certain opponents. And I think we saw both sides to that. Against Juve, we tried to dominate possession, do all of that. Against Milan today, from the off, distances were a little bit larger and we went long a lot. I think that is something that you'll be surprised of and see of Alonso. His Leverkusen team, they didn't just play one way. It all depends on the opposition sometimes. Obviously, there's the base principles. There's the base way that we're going to try and play. But he's happy to be quick. He's happy to try and get up the pitch in a more direct fashion if he thinks it suits the team and the opposition, like I said. And he's obviously happy to dominate possession, which for me should probably be the main way that we play, considering the way our team is built. We're not a team, for me, that is built to just obviously up and down. But I don't know, man. I'm just so happy about the athleticism in the team now. I just feel like that was something we haven't had. To watch Palestra bumming up and down, know that Rodgers is going to come in. Obviously, he's going to bring in his physicality. Lacroix 6'4", he's going to bring his physicality. It just feels like we're a much more physical team. We're a much more active team. Someone like Josh at RBRTB, again, much more physical, much more active. That is something that obviously was a big issue last season, the lack of athleticism, the lack of physicality. It's nice to see Chelsea not wilter away anytime a team tries to be physical with us. Because that's almost what it felt like initially early on in the game. I was thinking Milan looked like they want to take it to us, but we almost overwhelmed them. It was a situation where it's like we showed, listen, we can go toe-to-toe. And that was how we got caught out a lot against these Newcastle, Sunderland, Everton type teams. So hopefully, listen, we got something more for them this time around. But you lot already know I'm all about the technical control side of things. So hopefully that's still our main focus. But yeah, man, listen, I'll round it off there. Fun game, good result, the kind of result that you want, the kind of result that you need. Chelsea needed that because, listen, even though we are all fans and we're going to say we don't care about the losses, it's not nice to be losing games in pre-season. You can see the way people were talking compared to today. That's the Chelsea fan base for you, by the way. But it is nice to just get a win. It's nice to be a bit convincing. Forgot to even mention as well the set piece coach. Shout out this set piece brother that we got from Villa McAfee or whatever his name is. He's certified. He's already making his money. Look at that Caicedo goal. Like, that was mad. Then obviously the João Pedro header as well. You got Caicedo taking corners. You got Lavia taking corners. All sorts, bro. Like, I think that's going to add something massive for us next season as well. So that's exciting. Because bear in mind, this guy, Aston Villa, scored as many goals from set pieces as Arsenal. And we know Arsenal are set piece FC. Their set pieces are fake. So the fact that we've got a guy that they literally scored just as much as Arsenal is a big weapon. And you can see it today. Yes, we played decent and we played well, but we did flounder quite a couple of chances. But the set pieces made it comfortable. It turns from a 1-0 into a 3-0, and that's what set pieces do. They open up games. They lock off games when you're in control. it's just such a useful weapon in the modern climate of the Premier League. And to have someone that's best in class for that, I applaud Blueco again for that. So, listen, shout out to Alonso, shout out to Blueco, shout out to you lot, shout out to Chelsea. It's good for the fan base to be feeling positive. 1 game a week. You lot let me know in the comments what you think we can do. I ain't going to talk too much, but anyone that knows me or you get the vibe of the way I'm speaking, you should know what I'm on and what I've been aiming for from minute 1. And that ain't never going to change. I ain't never shook or never been scared to talk big on my team. So let's see. But you lot let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know who you thought performed well. Let me know who you think I missed out, didn't talk about as much. Kenda, didn't even give him his credit. He was great today as well. I would have loved to get into him a bit more, but I'm going to wrap up the video in a second. But yeah, Kenda was good. He was everything I was hoping for and expecting. Nice cross, nice cutting, the shot, everything. Shout out to Giovanni Kenda because he's going to be a real threat. And he's the reason I'm ready to get rid of Neto without hesitation. So, listen, shout out to everyone. I'm going to round up there like I said. Love to you, man. Bless up.